Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Mantasy Fantasy Football. James, welcome to our first show of the year. A little mock draft action. How you feel?
Oh, man, there's nothing that gets me harder than a solid mock draft. I mean, I'm telling you what, Lawson's even joined us today, and I'm telling you, he's told me he's played at least 4 or 5 mock drafts this week, and he said they're all fucking money, Adam. And he's joined us today. I don't think he's got his mic on, but he will be drafting. We're just kind of getting,
He just
a few
texted me.
perspectives on. He's getting a few perspectives on how we'll draft. I'm in the 1 spot. He'll be in the 5 spot, and you're in the 9 spot. So we'll kind of see how this goes, and this is kind of like our our little dipping toes into the podcast realm for fantasy football. So yeah.
All right, I'm texting Lawson right now because he's in control of the draft to start it. So he is with his kids right now. So he wasn't able to make it for the actual talking aspect of this, but he will be drafting. But apparently he has something going on with Lincoln or Max. I can't remember their names. There's so many of them at this point. And it seems that we opened up with the clear 101 CMC, no doubter at this point.
Oh, for sure. I think these first 4 are going to be slam dunks. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Even Dalvin Cook? You think that Dalvin? I mean, that's a risky play.
I mean, he might back up to 6 or 7. And oh, what a pick by Lawson in the first round. He's already going all in from 2019. Lamar Jackson at the QB spot. What do you think about that, Adam?
I think that after that 4 spot, it gets iffy. And I mean, at that point, you know what you're getting with Lamar Jackson. I'm going to project. So I'm in Lawson's spot. Lawson's the 1-9 in real life. He's just doing from 1-5 just to test it out, test the waters, see what happens. And I'm going to do kind of a draft as if I were Lawson. I think Lawson has been talking up Josh Jacobs over the offseason. I love Josh Jacobs.
He had a great 2019 season. And he kind of popped off a little bit for the Raiders. He was kind of the person that he carried that team on their back.
Popping off is what I'm about. He finished last year 21 in PPR, 14 in standard. I think it's a no-brainer. I tell you what, man, John Gruden is going to just kill him. And then back to me again. At this point, Tyreek was taken off, but I feel like it would be stupid not to go to Devontae Adams. I think that last year he had a little bit of a down season, but it was still a great season. And he still ended up 23rd overall, but it was just a bad year from Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Jones had so many touchdowns last year. It was ridiculous. So I'm going Devontae Adams.
No, I definitely get it. But, when you think about Aaron Rodgers and where he's at in his career, do you really go after any of those wide receivers in Green Bay?
I don't think you question the number 1 in Green Bay. Until Rodgers is gone, I don't think you question that.
And then we shortly follow that up with DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona and then Joe Mixon. I'm tasting some of that KFC, baby.
Ooh. Lawson going with Eckler on this pick.
He did just get that, that huge contract, fuck you money, as long with Patrick Mahomes right behind that. Talk about that fuck you money. $500 million.
Speaking of that money.
Billion with a B.
How do you feel with relation to getting that money from Derek in your prenup?
Well, I feel pretty great. I mean, I think he's a really star-studded guy, and whatever he earns, I think he deserves. And
don't you think you mean we in that instance?
Well, I'm talking about later down the line when he doesn't want to be with me anymore.
You're really thinking this one through to the fullest. I love it, James. So you're on the clock again, and you're going Miles Sanders. You're going the double RB approach. Equally a good rookie last year. Led the Eagles pretty much in the last half, and he was phenomenal. Eagles really haven't done a whole lot to replace like Jordan Howard role or anything like that. So I like that pick. It should be interesting. And Mike Evans. You like Mike Evans over Chris Godwin?
See, when you look at those two, you really don't know which one to go after because they really had the same production last year. Jameis Winston just hucking the ball everywhere, and one of those two are bound to go get it. And usually it's kind of split 50-50. But We saw Mike Evans with 13 yards one game, and he had 647 yards in another game. So really, it kind of just balances out over the season.
Now, I think we have our first, in my eyes, reach of the draft. And it comes down to Robert Woods. I mean, I think you could have got Robert Woods on the back half, but if you want your guy, you want your guy. Last year, I mean, he did really good in the second half of the year, and he kind of outplayed Cooper Kupp, which was fine. So I respect the pick, but it might be a little bit of a reach at that spot for Lawson.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but I think this was the trade that everyone thought that Lawson trade raped me and gave me Robert Woods and a few other players for Alvin Kamara. And you know what? I think everyone's pretty right. There was that Monday Night Football game against Justin where he just said, "I'm not going to play today," and I had to go pick up some Joe Schmo off the bench in their third string for the Rams. And sometimes you can't just trust the guy.
Speaking of trusting guys, I've had some trust issues with this guy in the past, but this year, I mean, I want to take a risk on him. David Johnson for Houston, I know he's going to have this role in the backfield. They have, honestly, no wide receivers that I can think of that are going to get a lot of targets like we talked about previously.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see what DJ does in a backfield with Deshaun Watson where he could potentially just drop it off. He's dropping loads.
How old is David Johnson nowadays? Is he past those drop and load days?
He seems like he's like 35, but he's only like, I think 26, 27. Can you look that up?
I can.
Oh, right. And then at this back half, I mean, who do I pick? Do I go running back? Do I go Adam Thielen like last year? I mean,
yeah, you're correct. He's 28 years old. He's past the prime of dropping some prime roping loads.
Man, this is weird because I really don't like doing this, but I'm going Melvin Gordon.
Oh, that's a pretty risky pick right there.
Yeah, it's two running backs from teams that are moving, but I feel like there's a massive drop off in running backs because if you look at it, you have Chris Carson, Singletary, Gurley. That's a big drop off in my eyes.
Right, for sure. I think we'll see after the second or third round. We'll see kind of the prime running backs obviously go in the first round because the amount of running backs in this league nowadays are just so scarce. I think we'll see that huge drop off after round 2 and maybe even half of round 3.
Now remember, with the draft this year, Lawson and Justin made a trade that they're going to be switching. So Lawson's really, this mock draft isn't all that relevant just because it's not exactly tailored to him. But I'm interested to see how Justin utilizes the first round because Lawson won't even be in the first round. But I feel like if Lamar Jackson gets back to him, he might pick him. We'll see.
Right. Now, I'm going to go off on the limb here because in 2019 he didn't have a great year because he was on. I think the Steelers were on their. I want to say their 6th quarterback. It's some guy from the upper stands up on the peanut gallery. But I'm gonna go with Juju right here because Ben's coming back, and with Ben you get some good quality reps in with Juju, and hopefully this year he'll make that big comeback. But I think right now I think he's just low on the scoreboard because obviously they were playing with David Pemberton as their quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, when you have Charlie Batch back there, anything is possible, but not last year. When you're bashing helmets into people's heads, that's not going to win you games. That's not going to get you fantasy points. One thing I forgot to mention, Boston at the 4-6 picking Julian Edelman.
That's a pretty risky pick nowadays.
It's a risky pick, but at the same time, I mean, like he had his best season last year, so you think he's going to regress back. But
yeah. But he's also had 19 concussions as well.
Yeah,
so we got to look out for the CT when we're talking about Julian
modern Austin Collie, if anyone recalls that name from the Colts. If not, we can watch that highlight tape later of him getting just concussed one time after another. Whoa! Going QB early, eh?
Hey, there's some QBs in this league where you can get double the value on their running game, their passing game, and just their sheer class actness, and Russell Wilson has all 3 of those huge traits. And the thing I want to avoid this year is trading for a quarterback because last year I had 3 of the most mediocre quarterbacks on my team. I couldn't figure out what was going to happen. So if there's a year that I'm going to secure a quarterback, it's going to be this year.
Mark Sanchez, right?
Of course. Another interesting pick from Lawson.
Okay, now that's a serious reach. Now we've gone full reach at this point, and we're seeing a trend. He clearly likes the Patriots, and he has in the past.
I mean, he might be a Bill Belichick fanboy, and he might know something that we don't. But from the mock drafts that I've been doing, I mean, Edelman and White have actually dropped back to the 6th and 7th round of my mock draft. So it's shocking that he would pick these 3 players right in a row that are kind of just like make you go, what's going on?
So this is a player that I love because I had him last year, drafted him last year, and he had no quarterback and was just insanely consistent. Looking at his stats last year, I think he only had 4 games where he wasn't above 12 points. He was just a PPR machine. I love DJ Moore, especially with Teddy Bridgewater. We'll see what he does. I have another pick coming back to me. Running backs are kind of scarce at this point. We got Jonathan Taylor, Raheem Mostert, and then it really drops off from there to Marlon Mack, Kareem Hunt.
And now that you think about it, when I think about Carolina's quarterback, I don't even remember if they even had a quarterback. I think it was just CMC back there taking the snaps.
It really was. I remember last year when Derrick Henry, your boyfriend / new fiance, was throwing passes out of the backfield, Tim Tebow style?
I don't want to talk about it because the only thing I remember is him chopping down the field for 80-yard touchdowns.
I think I'm going to follow up with the same division, Calvin Ridley. I think that Calvin Ridley is in the same spot that Julio Jones was at the beginning of his career. And I think that he is going to take that next step to, overtake Julio and maybe have a couple more yards. It's wishful thinking, but I really believe that Calvin Ridley is up for a big year. A lot of targets are gone.
And now we have Fairfield High School ALL 77 up to the plate again for his 6th round pick. And I know we've had some discussions about this, but that number 77 in Lawson's name, it's based off his favorite NHL player, Ray Bourque. He was actually drafted. He was actually drafted by the Colorado Avalanche in 1979, the same year that the Lions last went 4-0 in the first 4 games of their season. Did you know that?
Can you say that last part one more time?
He was drafted in 1979.
The follow-up.
The Detroit Lions went 4-0.
Oh.
In that season, yeah.
Whoa.
It's pretty astounding.
Ray Bourque.
Lawson's in the chat right now. He doesn't know who to pick.
Oh, he's taking his time on this one.
And next time we do another mock draft like this, we should definitely get him mic'd up and get him back in here and see what his thought process is.
Hard pass.
Go ahead, Lawson. Take your sweet ass time. And we waited a minute and 40 seconds for Duke Johnson on Houston.
Yeah, that pick doesn't make that just doesn't make any sense at that point.
Speaking of boyfriends, I have my side piece, Darren Waller. I mean, after last season, after spending $20 with you actually on that trade, I know I definitely got the value that I needed out of him, especially after Lawson spent $98 on Stephen Gostowski, who actually went to the IR right after that.
That might have been the highlight of the season outside of you with the Black Cat Miracle game. I am looking down at the bottom of the chat right now, and it appears that Lawson thinks that he got David Johnson. I can tell you on Sleeper, this is something I've recognized this year. It just marks him on your phone as D. Johnson. So if you are not paying attention...
my God, you're right. In the chat in the bottom right, he said, I got David Johnson, not Duke Johnson. Wow. And with the new league rules, there's no gimme backs.
No givebacks?
No gimme backs.
Oh.
I will say one thing that I'm very surprised about in this mock draft right now. I got AJ Green in the 7th round, and as we all know, Joe Burrow is coming to Cincinnati to be, the new Jesus of Bengals football.
Had a little bit of a quarterback run there after Adam Lawson picks the comeback, and Lawson has picked him before in the 2nd round. Rob Gronkowski. Then we had Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, and Deshaun Watson. A big drop-off in quarterbacks from there. You go to Aaron Rodgers. You really want to pick Aaron Rodgers after his last year, I do not personally. I'm looking at tight ends. Tight ends is Evan Ingram, Hunter. Oh God, I want to see just because at the beginning of the year last year he was phenomenal. Oh, but I don't like stacking players from the same team. I was gonna think Cortland Sutton. Justin had him last year. Drew Lock's there, but I'm gonna go with Fitzmagic's boy and Lawson's boy last year, but then he dropped him. Devontae Parker. What are your thoughts on the Miami Dolphins going into this year, James?
I think Devontae Parker specifically being on the Dolphins, I think, I saw on Twitter today, Adam Schefter actually retweeted, he actually has gotten into cartoon making and drawing cartoons and acting. So he's obviously quitting his day job at the Miami Dolphins. He's trying to secure another career. I think it's interesting that I think it's hey, diversify your portfolio. Sometimes you just got to diversify, and you know what? You can't blame the guy, but hopefully it doesn't take away from his production.
I mean, when Disney is up the street like that, I think that is a very smart move by that man. You always have to have alternatives backing it up. I just want to secure a tight end at that point.
Even when you say the word Miami, I just want to throw up after the time I went back in January for 10 hours. That was the most exhausting night of my life.
Can you go into more detail? Or would that be for another show?
It might be in for another show. That one's going to take a while to kind of fully flesh out and really tell all the details of that story.
Ooh, that should be the name of our podcast, Flesh Out.
We are taking names for our podcast. So if you guys have name recommendations, put those in the comments, and we'll think about it. And we'll probably say no to them, but hey,
I like the thought. The fact that you tried.
We're up for ideas.
All right, I'm taking some serious issue at this point. You never go full Patriot. You never go full team. You just don't do it. And he's going full Patriot right now. He's got Rob Gronkowski. He's got Cam Newton. He's got James White. And he's got Julian Edelman. That's 4, either a former or current.
A lot of these Patriots players are back from 2016 and 2015 when they were in their prime. When I think the three-peat started. Am I wrong?
Oh, back to back to unback to back to back, unback to hypothetically back. And now we're here. Oh God! At this point in the draft, we're just looking, and I want to throw up.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point in the draft, you know what? You gotta secure those solid picks, and I'm gonna go with the 49ers defense right here. Boom.
Speaking of throwing up, I yesterday had 2 4-for-4s, which turned out to be 1,100 calories each within the matter of like 20 minutes, and it made me think to myself, well, that sounds like a challenge going for the fantasy season. 4 4-for-4s from Wendy's, sponsored by Wendy's. Thoughts?
Hey, you know what? We do need to kind of start thinking about the challenges that we're going to do this year. We had multitudes last year, and I think we need to up them up a little bit this year.
I'm trying to get somebody to do like a 500 squat challenge with me. Like whoever loses has to do 500 squats within the matter of a day.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Adam Lawson, think about the glutes after that.
Oh, his glutes would be so hot. Speaking of $44 in glutes, let's get it, big boy. He really is going full Patriot, it seems like. But if there's something to mention, what's the rumor train with Stephen Gostkowski right now? What's the latest news that we've heard on Stephen Gostkowski? What is the latest news article? Is he going anywhere? Is there any team that needs a kicker?
I do not know, and I do not care. That's what I know.
Oh, jeez. I mean,
at this point in the draft, we might as well kind of maybe wrap it up. This is to the point where we all just want to fucking shoot ourselves in the foot and just gotta pick all of our bench players back up.
I selected Sony Michel to stay on the Patriot train. Will Fuller, I know he might get hurt, but if they have no one to throw it to, I have Duke Johnson. Not Duke Johnson. That's who Lawson knows. I got David Johnson and Will Fuller on my team. Now we're waiting on the wonderful Adam Lawson. At this point, on Lawson's team, what do you think he needs, James?
Yeah, looking at it, he's got a nice wide set of prime players that were great back in 2013 and 2014. I really think he needs a player that's going to be prime in 2020. I think that's what we need to do here. And by God, he went with Peyton Hillis. I don't know what this man is doing right now. I think he's trolling us to the point of exhaustion because I can't even think about the one brain cell
What
that is
year
running
was
Lawson's
Peyton
brain.
Hillis on the Madden cover? That is a great trivia question. I think it was like 2015, 2016.
I didn't know he was on the Madden cover. I don't think they
I
allow
know,
white
isn't
people
that
to be on the
sad?
Madden cover.
I'm gonna pause it right now because I got ahead of myself. So Control N. All right, and James, you're back on the clock at the 10-1 spot. Appears that you gotten your quarterback, gotten your tight end, so you're good there. Defense is good. I mean, you're kind of loaded at this point for your entire team throughout the year. So what are you thinking?
I mean, right now this looks like a really good team for the first round pick. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know who is first now. They would just copy and paste this lineup right into their to their draft plans. There we go. There it goes.
You're going backup QB, eh?
Can't go wrong with a backup QB that's solid and some good trade bait as well.
Love some good bait. I love baiting. Oh, maybe that's our podcast name. The Love Bait, the Baiters.
The baiters.
I like that.
What's love got to do? Got to do with it.
Ooh, you want that Mark Ingram role gone.
We'll kind of see what happens here.
I mean, if J.K. Dobbins did what he did at Ohio State, I can tell you he'll be phenomenal. Even then, if he takes over the Gus Edwards role, he's still getting like 100 to 150 carries. If Mark Ingram gets hurt, which he has gotten hurt like for 4 or 5 games, a decent amount of times in his career, Dobbins is set up for big time stuff.
It's gonna be so big, so big.
Speaking of
Trust
big,
me, I've seen big things
this
from
is like
so many big people.
the
So many
Brandon
people.
Jacobs of running backs, but for Lawson's sake, LeGarrette Blount. I think the last time I remember seeing him play football was on the Detroit Lions, and then it was he was on the Patriots. That's right.
The last 3 picks that he's had, they are not on a current team right now, and I'm not
He's
too sure
really
what's going through his
playing the
mind.
high risk plays at the end, like that could pay off though. So
I have no idea what's going through that man's head.
That's a very good question that I have all the time. I picked CeeDee Lamb. Justin has him in our bet where we have 2 rookies facing off each other each week. Whoever has the least amount of points has to either A, run a mile, or B, drink a beer. And then by the end of the year, we'll run out or drink out our tabs. So that will be quite interesting to see how that plays out. I need a quarterback at this point, and I don't have one. And I think that this one is very undervalued this year. He did not have a good year last year, but I believe shake and bake.
I don't know about that pick. I mean, that guy's too busy making commercials rather than worrying about football right now.
He's getting blowjobs in the back of parking lots apparently as well, if you haven't heard those stories.
I have not heard those stories. It kind of sounds similar to my stories. It sounds similar to my Miami story that I had.
Oh, jeez.
All right, I think we kind of want to wrap it up after this 13th round. I mean, I think we're to the point where no one really gives a shit about the picks that we're picking.
Unless your name is Galvin Escobar, it's Gavin Escobar, which is one of my dad's favorite players. Lawson really getting that good backup tight end at this point. Ooh, kicker early.
When you know Justin Tucker has the golden boot, you got to get him on the squad. You just got to, because kicking can be, life or death, as we all know what happened with the Black Cat Miracle. Brett Mayer just fucking went off, got me back up to Lawson's point level, and then, of course, as we all know, the final Fumblerooski touchdown to end the game, and for me to win against Lawson. Once you have a kicker like that on your team, I mean, you can't go back.
That is definitely one of the highlights of, I think, fantasy history. I think that will go down forever, to where no one will ever forget that. Like Lawson's, there's no way. And going against the Cowboys, and just unreal.
And speaking of, Black Cat Miracle, he made a pretty big decision on his first defensive pick, and he
hurt.
actually went
Hurt.
with the Dallas Cowboys. I think he wants some revenge with this squad.
He is really feeling it right now. I would have been crying if that happened to me. That's for damn sure.
That's what makes it all better. It happened to Lawson.
Ugh. Lawson following up his picks here to end out the draft.
And I'm looking at his lineup, and there's only one word that can really describe it, and that is money.
Oh, every year. He picked your boy, James. He picked one of your favorites.
Chad Henne, of course, the backup to Patrick Mahomes. And you know what? When you're backing up a $500 million player, I mean, there's really no better spot to be in. And he went with Jay Cutler as well. That man doesn't even play football anymore.
Yeah, but he has a smoking hot wife.
They're actually divorced now.
Really?
Yeah. Well, there we have it. There is our money stack mock drafts that we've run a couple months before the NFL season starts. Adam, thanks for having me. Lawson, thanks for having me as well. Get a mic next time or whatever. Get rid of your kids, whatever, so we can have you in the chat. So we can have you on the podcast.
Some news to end it off with. The draft is on September the 5th at 5 p.m. at Harbin Park. So we'll do a little pregame somewhere if we have to. And then the festivities for the physical draft will be at Harbin. We can use it through my phone. Everyone just bring their phones and we'll be good to go.
And give us your thoughts, and maybe we'll do some more podcasts.